What's good, everybody?
Yo!
Welcome to Benatton TV this time.
Yes.
Does that sound corny?
No, it's fine.
So we're rolling with Benatton TV, our YouTube channel.
Yes.
So you guys are so used to seeing us doing the podcast.
Yes, Terrible Reception Podcast. We're doing a little different today.
Yeah,
because we want to inform you how you can do what we do if you think that's interesting. So.
That sounded cool as hell. I'm gonna go back on that and write that down for the next episode.
Perfect.
But for those that don't know us, let us introduce ourselves or reintroduce ourselves for those that do know us. My name is Jay Suarez.
And I am Parlay of Benatton.
Yes, sir. You always say Parlay of Benatton.
I don't know. I feel like it sounds like more medieval. You know? You're like, hello!
I knight thee.
I'm Parlay of Benatton.
But anyway, today we're recording, not a tutorial, but we're going to record a video to show you guys how we shot Jaded.
And funny enough, we're using green screen to show you how we use the green screen. So in some weird universe.
It's like a Inception type thing.
Yeah, it's like when you look into a mirror and there's mirrors behind you and it just keeps going.
Yeah, so something like that. I guess we could start off with the equipment.
Okay.
What we used and why we used it.
Should I bring some physical gear in here?
Yeah.
Okay.
We could start off with the camera.
I'll be with the camera. In the meantime, in between time, we're gonna let Jay entertain you guys.
So, yes, I guess this is a good time to say subscribe to the channel. It's very important that you guys subscribe to the channel. Like all the videos that we post, if you like them. If you don't, just like it anyway. And then leave some comments, because we're just trying to build the YouTube page. I guess we're trying to become like one of those youngster YouTubers, you know what I'm saying? Now that the man is back. The man.
The man. You're not saying it in like, that's my homeboy.
Got real racial right there.
Got real racial. All right, so first of all, this guy right here, minus the lens that you see, is the Sony a7 III. And the Sony a7 III came out basically a year ago. It was 2018, best awarded camera by many people. And it's also just been like a workhorse, even though they consider it the entry-level DSLR camera for Sony. And I think what makes it such a great camera is it's an incredible hybrid camera. And we use it for a lot of our photography work. And we also use it for our videography. It shoots 4K. It shoots slow motion in 120p, but unfortunately it's only 1080. But still looks really, really crisp. I'm looking forward to what Sony comes out with this year. Over here on the side, you have dual SD card slots, which make it great for when you're recording, you know, big events and you need that backup, whether it's photography or videography. Again, like I said, it's a full frame camera. And with full frame cameras, there's a big difference between them and crop sensors. And people can see the difference because when you use a full frame lens with a full frame camera, you get better depth of field. You're actually getting the true to size picture that you would like. So Jay kind of stepped into the video and photo world, and I guess you can give them your perspective on how easy this guy is to use.
Yeah, so as far as photography wise, it's very simple to use. I would say you explained it as a very entry level camera, right? So it's not complicated to use at all. There's a bunch of YouTube videos that will show you how to use the camera.
But don't get it wrong, it's very pro at the same time.
Exactly, and that's the good balance that it has. That's hence the hybrid. So so it was very easy for me to pick up on it as far as the specs and all that stuff when you're taking photos and also when you're doing videos. So and then you could personalize it as well. Like each button, you can make it do something different. So if you don't like it how it's set up, where your fingers are, you can personalize it in the menu where you can put whatever specs it is that you use for whatever photos or videos. You can plug them in there. That way it's easier for you to find it. And also the knobs on top. There's also a 1 and 2 setting.
Yes.
For video mainly, right?
Yeah. I mean, you can make it.
That's what we use it for.
Yeah, you can customize this camera to your liking, but 1 and 2, basically there's a top notch here and it says number 1 and number 2. And we use number 1 for a 24 frame rate recording, which is very cinematic looking, very fluid, what you guys are used to seeing in movies. And we use number 2 for our slow motion options. Again, only shoots 1080, but it's still really crisp. And there is a way that in Premiere, I use a plugin to sharpen the image a little bit and it comes out crispy, real crisp.
Onto the lenses that we use.
Yes, lenses. I'm always loving, I know that Sony came out with a 24 millimeter 1.4 lens, which is probably great for photographers and videographers alike. But before that even came out, I have this Batis 25 millimeter, which is kind of like it's one step up above 24 millimeter, but you can't really tell the difference. And it's an incredibly colorful and contrasty lens in the sense that the imagery it gives you. Lenses take a big part and role in how your footage ends up looking, to be honest. It's how sharp it's going to be. This is made for the Sony Batis. None of these lenses are quote unquote cinematic lenses, but they are built from companies that make cinematic lenses, and like Zeiss. This is a Zeiss lens, and they are a German-based company that have been making cinematography lenses and gear for ages. So this is a very reputable brand, and I think that again, these pieces are, some people would consider them expensive. If you've already been in the industry of photography and videography, you're like, wow, that's not bad price for what you're getting. So again, just the body alone, we have a grip on here. A grip lets you add 2 batteries, and the batteries have been great on the Sony, on the new bodies, but this lets you have 2, so we can use this all day without really having to recharge batteries. But the body alone, just the body for the Sony, is about $2,000. If you guys are a student, you can get student discounts at B&H or Amazon sometimes. It depends on where you shop often, but same thing on lenses. You can get a student discount on the lenses. This one I know has gone down in price. I think it's about $1,200 to $1,000. But again, it's just such a great focal length where it's very cinematic. This is what I use for all of our wide shots. Anything that looks kind of like epic in slow motion, or you really want to get an idea of the space and the environment, I'm always using this on our stabilizers. And I'll get to the stabilizers in a second. But we also have the 55 millimeter by Zeiss. It's a 1.8, and that means it's Aputure. This is a 2.0. I forgot to explain that. But Aputure is basically how wide you can, or how small you can close the iris of the lens to let more light in. And that also gives you depth of field. And depth of field is basically, if you see the background is blurry, I know a lot of people who might have no clue about this, but if you guys have portrait mode on your Apple iPhones, they try to mimic this depth of field where the background is blurry, kind of what we get blown out, and then your subject is usually in focus. So something like a 50 millimeter is closest to what our eyes see. And a lot of people start out with 50 millimeter lenses in photography and cinematography because it's kind of how I might be seeing Jay at this distance, or how we kind of see life. So I use this also in Jaded. When you guys see us in, you see kind of close-ups of our sneakers, or you see close-ups of us, it's kind of like the distance we were standing from each other, but it gives you a lot more of an intimate feel. And I feel that's what we were trying to project, since it was a therapy session.
Yeah, and it was very close quarters too. So
yeah.
You mentioned the rigs.
Yes.
Or the stabilizers.
Yeah, I can show you the one that we have, a smaller one now, and it's by DJI. And DJI is a phenomenal company. if you guys are into this stuff, again, you might have heard of that company. They have all the drones on the market. They are the ones who do the stabilizers for big pro projects, you know, entry-level people and like, you know, prosumers in between. So I'm gonna get that for you. This is the Ronin-M. It holds like a minimum weight of 12 pounds. So if your camera is 12 pounds, it will hold that.
Minimum or maximum?
That is the maximum. Maximum is 12 pounds. Excuse me if I said minimum, but the maximum is 12 pounds on this that you can hold your camera, but it stabilizes your footage.
Well, I tried using this at a wedding.
Boom.
And this thing gave me traps for days. Yeah. This thing, after a while, it gets what you want it to do, which is like clean pans, and clean like swooping shots or whatever, panning in and out, side to side, you know, swooping in and out. But
it's
after
a big guy.
Yeah, after a while it gets heavy. Yeah. So by the end of the wedding, I was like trying to hold things up, and my arms are like shaking. I was like, dude, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. It's kind of like you can start out with a small can of soup, but if you hold that out long enough, it's gonna feel 10 times its size. Yeah, and as you guys can see, if you're trying to work with this all day, like he said, you're gonna end up looking like Goldberg. So maybe we can put like, you know, like one of those funny action scenes of Goldberg coming out. But yeah, this stabilizes things and really makes everything look cinematic. It's kind of like, depending on how you use it, is how professional the shot kind of comes out. There's a technique to it. It's not like you can just run sometimes or walk with it. There's a special technique, and
we call it the ninja walk.
The ninja walk, yeah. So if you guys look it up. Again, this is the Ronin-M by DJI, and if you guys get familiar with it, you can do your studies from there, and maybe we'll have another video on how to use it. But great piece of gear, always seen on a music video set or some type of professional shot.
Yep, and that's the one that we used for the Jaded video. In particular, the scene in the parking lot with Rich on his phone. And also most of the therapy session, right?
Yeah, we're the only ones on our sets most of the time, to be honest. And we always kind of base our concepts and everything else around it so we can just have us on site. And it's challenging when it comes to ideas. Sometimes it's disappointing because we're like, oh, it'd be nice if we had some help.
Yeah.
But everything else in between, we usually make it happen, or we're not in our video, and we can, you know, emphasize a story like that. So basically, when it comes to that, we use Manfrotto tripods, and Manfrotto is an Italian-based company, and they are fairly well known, you know, by a lot of people. And it's just a great and well-built piece of equipment. So you can knock it around, it'll last you for years. It's very easy to use. We use them, again, music videos, weddings, everything in between. And they're great. Steady shots are better than moving shots sometimes. Like you can always work with a steady shot. You can zoom in, zoom out, do those things in post-production. And yeah, for that reason, tripods and monopods are equally as good as handheld stabilizers. You will need both. They give you different effects. And another thing, I think what makes our work as cinematic as people say our videos are, because we are very well versed in lighting. We use Ari lights. Ari lights are a German-based company, and Ari lights are very they've always been used in movies, like since the beginning. Like they are that very warm, they almost mimic house lighting, you know. So anything you see like a lamp in your house, you can consider that tungsten lighting. If you go outside, or if you get natural light from your window, that's considered daylight balanced light. Green screen was cheap. It was
like about $60 or something like that.
$60, yeah.
Something like that.
Something like that.
We already had the stands, right?
Yeah, we already had the stands.
So
stands, it might be another like 40 for you guys. You can buy a decent amount of what they call like photography stands or video stands. and then you guys can put that all together. And basically with that equipment, and we had a location, we shot at a friend's house, a friend of a friend's house. And I forgot to mention, we also had Quasar lights. Quasar lights are the lights that sometimes people see on movie sets when you see, it's also daylight balance, like this light that's hitting us, but they mimic, like, they look like halogen lights that you see maybe in, I don't know, schools or hospitals. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or gyms. So that's everything. I can go on and on days about this. Maybe you guys can give me more insight on what you want to hear or learn about these specific things, but I feel like without overdoing it, that's my brief. I know that was already a lot.